Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This Thursday night, our Women's Advanced Bible Study night, 28th of March of 2024. Okay, we'll pick up at the end of the class reading out of the book of Isaiah. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 900 or so videos with all types of conversations, all kind of information. So you can check it out if you're seeking the truth. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Okay. And for those that want to support the channel, let it move along. We got a cash app at the bottom of the screen. Okay. And our hours of operation are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is at 7 to 9 Central Time, p.m. Central Time. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, on Saturday, we have two Bible classes, Sabbath class in the morning and Sabbath class in the evening. And Friday nights, we on Clubhouse with non-Messianic Conversations is the title of the room. It's also from 7 to 9 p.m. or Central Time. Okay, you want to come in on one of those nights, check us out. You'll be more than welcome. Okay. Those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Lord of Hosts. Okay, consists of our laws, statutes, judgments, our way of life. It's how we live. Okay. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer. We're going to read the Psalms for women's health. Then we have some current events, global information, and then we'll deal with some need to know information. We'll open it up for some questions and comments, Q&A, and then we'll go into our topic, which is we'll be picking up where we left off last week in the book of Isaiah. Okay, this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and our Creator Yahweh and all that they're doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we pray for righteousness and uprightness that it belongeth unto thee. Therefore, we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as thy servants David and Solomon, Samuel, and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea, hear and do, O Lord, and hide not thy face from us any longer, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay? Going to read the Psalms.
Shalom, everyone. Yes, I'll be reading Psalms 9. I will praise thee, O Lord, with my whole heart. I will show forth all thy marvelous works. I will be glad and rejoice in thee. I will sing praises to thy name, O Most High, O thou Most High. When my enemies are turned back, they shall fall and perish at thy presence. For thou hast maintained my right in my cause. Thou sittest in the throne judging right. Thou hast rebuked the heaven. Thou hast destroyed the wicked, the hateth. Thou hast destroyed the wicked. Thou hast put out their name forever and ever. 6. O thy enemy, destructions are come to the pre- protector, perpetual end, and thou hast destroyed cities, their memorials is perished with them. But the Lord shall endure forever. He has prepared his throne for judgment, and he shall judge the world in righteousness. He shall minister judgment to the people in uprightness. The Lord also will be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. 10. They they that know thy name will put their trust in thee, for thy Lord has not forsaken them that seek thee. 11. Sing praises to the Lord, which dwelleth in Zion. Declare among the people his doings. When the when he maketh inquisition for blood, he remembereth them. He forgetteth not the cry of the humble. Have mercy upon me, O Lord. Consider my troubles which I suffer of them that hate me. Thou that liftest me up from the gates of death. 14. That I may show forth all thy praises in the gates of the daughter of Zion. I, lo- I will rejoice in the salvation. The hin- heathen,
Eden.
the heathen are sunk. The heathens, I'm sorry, thank you, are sunk down in the pits that they made in the net in which they hid in their own foot taken. The Lord is now by the judgment, is known by the judgment which he executes the wicked in snares in the works of his own hands. Hagan nation, Hagan Selah. The wicked shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forget God. For the needy shall not always be forgotten. The exploitations of the poor shall not perish forever. Arise, O Lord, let not man prevail. Let the heathen be judged in thy sight. Put them in fear, O Lord, that the nations may know themselves to be but man. Selah. Um, that was Psalms 9, 1 through 20. And forgive me again when I read verse 5. I didn't pronounce the word correctly. It's, thou hast rebuked the heathens, thou hast destroyed the wicked, thou hast put out their name forever and ever. Okay.
Okay, so I'll start with that verse right there. That don't sound like what they telling us in the New Testament. The heathens are the Gentiles. So it says
Mm,
right here, thou hast rebuked, he has rebuked the heathen, he rebuked the Gentile. Thou hast destroyed the wicked, the heathens of the wicked. Thou hast put out their name forever and ever. So how does he bring them in?
yeah, that's right. And they're the unrepentant people. They're not going to repent.
Right. And so, and verse 10 was the one that stuck out to me was, it says, and they that know thy name is what I'm screaming here on Prophets of Awakening. Thou that know thy name will put their trust in thee. For thou, Lord, hast not forgotten, forsaken them that seek thee. So if you ain't seeking him, you off track. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else have anything to do with on that? Okay, we're gonna go to our women's health moment.
Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. Please know that the information that is shared is intended for general, informational, and educational purposes only and is not medical advice or recommended treatment. Tonight's discussion is on the amazing health benefits of rosemary. You probably already know that rosemary packs a delicious flavor, especially when sprinkled in soup, roasted potatoes, or rubbed on chicken or lamb. But did you know the herb and its oils also come with health benefits? Rosemary is an herb that is used as a culinary condiment to make bodily perfumes and for its potential health benefits. It is a member of the mint family, along with many other herbs such as oregano, thyme, basil, and lavender. It is typically prepared as a dried herb or a dried powder extract, while teas and liquid extracts are made from fresh dried leaves. The herb has been held since ancient times for its medicinal properties. Some amazing health benefits of rosemary include promoting the immune function. The immune system, and indeed every other system, functions at its best when they are provided with the right nutrients to keep these systems functioning. Rosemary is a rich source of antioxidants and anti inflammatory compounds, which may assist the body to boost the functions of the immune system, as well as improve the circulation of substances that fight infections around the body. It prevents indigestion, protects the skin, and nourishes the hair. Rosemary may stimulate free blood flow to the skin and help in management of conditions such as eczema, dermatitis, and even fungal infection. Rosemary has also been used to support healthy hair growth and prevent hair conditions like alopecia. It is great by providing protection to the brain. It enhances concentration and retention. It promotes the respiratory function. When used regularly, it can actively protect the lungs by preventing fluid from accumulating and help remove film and excess mucus that block the respiratory tract. It provides relief from pain. I did not know this. Rosemary can act as a pain relieving agent. It may be effectively used to fight painful menstruation and stomach cramps. Rosemary can improve overall health due to its potent antioxidant properties. And did you know that rosemary is near the top of the list of herbs with the most antioxidants? I'm going to read Proverbs chapter 2, verses 10 through 20. When wisdom entereth into thine heart, and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul, discretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee, to deliver thee from the ways of the evil man, from the man that speaketh froward things. Tonight's discussion was on amazing health benefits of rosemary, and I read Proverbs chapter 2, verses 10 through 12. Shalom.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that information. Yeah, some of those things I didn't know either. So that was some good information. We're gonna go to our current event. Okay. Okay. You're acting up.
Is it hard to access affordable, healthy food? Then listen carefully. Gerald Addison, an African American inventor, has patented a process for growing food on demand.
Okay, here we go. Sorry about that.
All right, so let's get to our sister here because we need to have a conversation. I've seen this video, I say, you know what? Let's build on this. Let's build on it because we've been seeing a lot of folks crying now. They've been crying. They've been complaining a lot about America. A lot. And all they complaints sound very familiar. Let's go ahead on and cue up our sister here. And let's see the assessment of our sisters and what she has to say.
As a Black American, it's very interesting to me now seeing all of these people from different walks of life, different ethnicities, different backgrounds, different countries, different races, get online and start picking apart the United States of America. And I'm a I told you so type of person, and I will gloat, and I will not have any shame doing so. It's very interesting watching them draw conclusions that we've been screaming from the rooftop and screaming from the mountaintop for centuries. But no, y'all thought we were lazy. Y'all thought we were entitled. Y'all thought we just wanted handouts. Y'all thought that it was us. Y'all thought we were the problem. No, we've always seen this country for what they are. We peep game before anybody else do. And it's particularly interesting when Black people from other countries come to the United States with all of their preconceived notions about who we are, as if we just have all of these blessings at our fingertips and we're just squandering it because we're lazy and ratchet and ghetto and don't want to work and don't want to be educated. Anything y'all can possibly do, we've already done. Period. Period. So the irony is thick when y'all get online and start complaining about the cost of living. Listen, complaining about the poison in the food because of the position that Black Americans and the route by which we've become American, because of that positioning, we know the game. We peep the games long before anybody else peep it because we have more foresight than y'all. And it takes other people much longer to do the math, including white people. We've always had our food poisoned. We've always had our physical persons being experimented on. We've always had been charged prices higher than everyone else. See, and people come over here and they act like we're the problem and we're lazy and we just don't have it together when we know the games that they play because we've been through and seen the underbelly of this country. We've seen the darkness that this country is. But y'all thought y'all were going to come and get a different result. Y'all thought y'all would come and you could play the game better and actually win. And I just sit around when I see people making videos, when I see people of color and white people and Black people from other countries that live in the United States that have been here for a while and is finally doing the math when you could have just listened to us, especially if you're Black and from another country, because you came and stood on the foundation that we did. And you have done nothing. There is nothing anybody can do in this country that Black Americans haven't already done, period. But you thought you could play the game better than the people who understand the rules. Cackles in Black American. Cackles and I told you so. Cackles and I don't care.
All right. Our sister was cooking, ladies and gentlemen. She was cooking. But I want to take some points out of that and just expound upon it. That's just kind of what we do here. It's no different than preaching a sermon at church. You lay your intro, you get your scripture. Our scripture a lot of times is
here are the headlines. An upcoming digital gold bull market.
Anybody got any comments on that? What she was saying? No comment? Okay. Let's see what I got right here. This computer acting up. Okay.
Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and join the conversation.
Peace, family. Vicky Dude here for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Beloved, as you come in, be sure to give us a big thumbs up and share the broadcast. And also, if you get a moment, be sure to download our wonderful new professional app. Yes, African Diaspora News Channel. We have our own app. Be sure to download it. Beloved, I've been hearing about the goings on of Haiti, it's called Haiti, in the news lately. And you must know that America and the West never really discuss Black nations such as Haiti unless there's something suspicious and strange and exploitative going down there. You all know, and certainly have seen my coverage talking about the suspicious activity of the Kenyan president, Mr. Ruto, in agreeing to send 1,000 security police to Haiti. And of course, the United States is all for it, which is completely suspicious. And of course, we know that the United States and the West have had, France and so forth, and others have certainly, we've connected the dots to show how their dirty little hidden hand has been involved in the doing of Haiti for many, 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 many decades. And so, of course, the United States knows that we're well aware of that history, and so she does not want to be exposed. And so I believe that we have credibly alleged that Mr. Ruto and Kenya and the Kenyan soldiers, which my understanding now there's a snag in him sitting in there now, a temporary delay right now in him sending those soldiers there. But just the fact that he would have been agreed to do something like that lets you know and plausibly, incredibly come to the conclusion that it is the imperialist countries that want to put a black face on the undoing of Haiti. More importantly, this beautiful gentleman by the name of Isaiah Jules, hopefully I pronounced some of that right. Some of it right, I figured out a portion of it right with his Mississippi accent. He is of the National Movement for Liberty and Equality of Haitians for Fraternity. And if you were confused about why it is that the United States and others continue to butt in the business of Haiti, and why it is that we feel that when something is going on there, we get involved in it, or when there seems to be some level of violence, and in this case, they're talking about the gangs overrunning the country, why is it that we cover them out of nowhere? Then we go silent for some months or years, and then out of nowhere, all of a sudden, you see all of the white mainstream media around the world, all of a sudden, all at the same time discussing Haiti. It is not by accident. Something is up, and 10 times out of 10, there tends to always be a connection to exploitation and them brewing a war and discord and drama in that country so that they can justify their presence being there. I want you to watch these very, very short 3-second clips of extraordinary insight that this beautiful brother gave us. Watch these.
The organization process began when they put a drug dealer and a criminal into power. He never won popular elections. It was Hillary Clinton flying down. It was a tweet from the State Department saying that Michel Martelly would be the next president or dictator of Haiti. This was a watershed moment. Then they put into power.
Buy on blue, sell on red. This new indicator gives a
or Jovenel Moise, who was later on assassinated by the very same system that put him into power, Nicolas Maduro. But what did the Haitian government do with these billions and billions of dollars that came in help? They swallowed it up. They stole it. So we mobilized in 2018. We mobilized all the way through 2021. The popular forces were in the street. We were able to recognize the role that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and the other imperialist criminals played, putting Preval and others into power. We saw Petro-Caribbean as an alternative to the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, as an alternative to the environmental catastrophe that imperialism has always represented for us.
Did you hear him refer to Hillary Clinton twice? Notice he made the connection but and the blame for their misleadership, the misleadership that they're experiencing in their country, due in part to Hillary Rodham Clinton. Now, I have discussed before the connection between the Clintons and some of the goings on in Haiti. Now, we know many years ago that the first Bush, under threat of deletion of the democratically elected President Aristide, we put weapons to his head and told him he needs to leave the country or we would unalive him. Yes, the United States of America under Bush 1. So Bush 1 removed him from office. The next president was Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton negotiated with Aristide, helped to restore him back to office. Think about that. But with the caveat of lowering the price of some of the rice tanners there, which drove Haiti back into an economic depression and global exploitation, because all of these other countries got the benefits of these tariffs, while Haiti was messed over, in other words. This was a negotiation that was done by Bill Clinton. And this is not including the other reports of some of the activity, the suspicious activity that has been credibly alleged to the Clinton Foundation and others. So when Bush 2 got in office, guess what Bush 2 did? Exactly what his daddy Bush 1 did. Threatened to unalive him, forced him to get on a plane with CIA without letting him know where he was going, and ultimately dropped him off in Africa. And he remained in exile. So when America is worried about what's going on with BRICS and why the world has a problem with us and the de-dollarization and all that, America, remember this. Remember this history there, sadly, everywhere. Just about. In this other article I was able to pull up just as a reminder, notice that our brother, this whistleblower I'm calling him, not only did he repeatedly mention Hillary Clinton and called them criminals and directly connected her to the undoing of his country in modern times. In the context of that, he talks about how some of the Haitians rose up a few years ago to fight their government over billions of dollars connected to Petro Caribe. Now, if you're wondering what Petro Caribe or Caribe is, it was set up in 2005 by who? The then Venezuelan president, Hugo Chavez. He allowed Caribbean nations to buy Venezuelan oil on favorable terms. The countries were supposed to use the money they saved to improve infrastructure, but more than a decade later, it talks about in this article from Financial Times, how Haiti has little to show for it. It talks about how last year, at the time of this article, Haiti's Court of Auditors reported that the officials mismanaged up to $2 billion of Petro Caribe's cash, and a company managed by Mr. Mose was involved in questionable road building scheme. Now, you heard this whistleblower, this activist, this leader, tell you that they saw Petro Caribe as an alternative to the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, known as the IMF, and solving the problems of some of the so-called climate issues. Yes, this is a scheme of world leaders that exploit and steal and engineer the destruction of these so-called third world countries and undeveloped countries. And please understand, they do that on purpose so that they will never become a superpower. And so that the United States and the West are able to continue to exploit, steal, delete, and destroy the world over. We've been hearing a whole lot of stuff in the news about Haiti. You've been hearing about how the gangs have been running over the city and all this kind of stuff. But our brother in this powerful interview gives us the details of that and talks about them working for the elites, and they do that to prevent the masses from coming out and organizing and exposing the system. He talks about the weapons. Of course, we know where many of the weapons have been traced from also, and how the weapons are not made in Haiti, and they can't even afford them there. It talks about the hidden hand of the undoing of that country, and this gives us a great deal of insight, and it points to some very clear, he points to some very clear pernicious actors in this case. I'm going to be covering this and more, but of course I've discussed Haiti in times past on this network, so I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this. So be sure to comment below. My name is Vicki Dillon. Love and be sure to check out my website at Vicki Planet.
Yeah, so if you was listening to what she was saying, you can also look at it and see that they're doing the same thing in certain countries. I mean, in certain cities, like in America, like in Chicago, same thing they're doing in these other black underdeveloped countries, they're doing them over here in certain black neighborhoods, like they did it in Harlem. They did it in Chicago. Very same thing. But my point is this. Like I say, I keep going back to this 400-year prophecy that from 1619 to 2019, right? So these Haitians, when you understand what's going on, who's who, these Haitians are predominantly, most of them are Levites. We know the story with Levites. It was taken from among the 12 tribes. They're the servants of the Lord of hosts. They his ministers. So you say 2019 was 400 years is up. Look what's going on in Haiti. Something ain't adding up. Okay. Any comments on that?
Okay. Back when they had that the big earthquake, right, in Haiti,
Right.
like she was saying, Bill Clinton, his wife, and the Bushes, right? They had some type of foundation or something
Right.
going on, right? And they collected billions of dollars, or shall I say, raised billions of dollars.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, done nothing for Haiti, right? It just was a bunch of false promises, just like they do today here for us.
Right. All over. Yeah, it's all over. And another thing she mentioned the tariffs they did on the rice, where they ended up shipping all the rice out of Arkansas. And they tricked that off some kind of way. They got made a bunch of money off of that. Clinton was the governor of Arkansas.
Right.
So he funneled the rice from it was coming out of Arkansas through Haiti. So and evidently he controlled the revenue out of it because it ended up bankrupt in Haiti. The reason why it's in the state that it's in now. So yeah. Okay. So yeah, so you can probably Google that, do some research on it, get more information from it. But so with that being said, I got some need to know information. I talked about it before. I constantly talk about it. Just about the red heifer. Show you what's going on up to this day. What's going on with that? Yeah, something happened today. We play it. Okay.
We had a very important event happening, and not a lot of people knew about it because it wasn't really advertised. So if you go to the Temple Institute webpage, you will see that yesterday there was a conference on the red heifer. And maybe some of you have found out about this conference and saw it, but the problem was that the whole thing was in Hebrew. So even if you follow the link, you wouldn't understand much what the people were saying because everything was in Hebrew. And the conference was very interesting because it gave an update on the situation with the red heifers, and even you had an opportunity to see the red heifers that are currently located in Shiloh. And in this episode, I would like to take a moment to summarize the situation of the red heifers. But before I will do that, please remember to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and hit that bell button. This really, really helps me. With that out of the way, let's begin our episode. So, as you heard, the red heifers are now located in Shiloh. Why Shiloh? Well, if you remember the biblical story, you will remember that in Shiloh, the tabernacle was located before Jerusalem was the capital of Israel. So Shiloh became the first religious center for the Hebrews in the land of Israel, and it became a very important place. You remember the story of Samuel and Eli, the high priest. This is all happening in Shiloh. If you're interested, I have a video on this channel where I visit the ancient Shiloh and talk about its history, its significance. So if you want to check that out, I will leave a link in the description of this episode. So to answer the question why the Temple Institute chose this location to bring the red heifers, it's very simple. This is where the tabernacle stood, and this is where they can prepare, they can work on everything that is needed to building the third temple. So not only the red heifers are here, but a lot of studies are done here in this place, which became like a laboratory for preparing for the.
If you watch YouTube videos for at least 1 hour a week,
research the crimson dye that is essential in the red heifer sacrifice. For many years, they didn't know how this red color was achieved, but recently they found a worm from which it can be extracted, this red, really crimson color. So it's an amazing discovery that is another step towards the process of doing the red heifer sacrifice. So perhaps even before the temple can be built in Jerusalem, they will be able to build the tabernacle in Shiloh, because it's much easier to actually construct a real tabernacle than the temple. And as you remember, the tabernacle served the same purpose as the temple. Okay, but let's go back to the conference and what was it about. So the conference was really laid back. It was mainly for Hebrew-speaking, very religious people that are strongly connected to the land. So you had a lot of rabbinical teaching on the connection between the people of Israel and the land, and the importance of the temple and the priests, and importance of the return to the holy service of the nation of Israel. So as to the cows, you can see the 3 red heifers that still qualify to become the red heifer from which the ashes can be extracted for this very important ceremony of purification. All the 3 red heifers are of age now, so they are in their 3rd year. So that means they qualify already to be sacrificed. And during the conference, we had, for example, this person who was explaining all the details that go into breeding cows in Israel. So he was, for example, explaining the differences of breeding cows in the Golan Heights and in Samaria, so those kind of things. So all the lectures in Shiloh were explaining that all they do is preparation, where they can finally go from theory to practice, and they can physically try all the things that are needed to prepare for building the real temple and the real religious system that existed in the Bible. Now, there was also a lecture on the place where the red heifer could be sacrificed on the Mount of Olives. And I did talk about this in my last video when I discussed that Hamas announced that the reason they attacked Israel was because of the red cows and the fact that Israel wants to perform a sacrifice to start building the third temple. Now, since the announcement by Hamas, it really stirred a lot of things in Israel. There was a lot of debate and things were happening and a lot of controversies. People were starting to seek different information. Some were false. And really, it got really loud about this particular topic. And when it was quite quiet about this, it was looking possible that the sacrifice of the red heifer could happen, for example, during this year's Passover on the Mount of Olives. And the Israeli government was even giving a green light for this procedure to happen. But now, because of all the attention around it, the Israeli government said that it will definitely not happen during this year's Passover. And you know, Passover is not like it's a deadline that it had to happen on Passover. Actually, the cows are of age now, and they can be sacrificed whenever. There isn't really a limit, so it can happen later than Passover, as long as they are of the right age. And to summarize, it looks like everything is getting closer and closer to this moment when the sacrifice will finally happen. All the pieces are starting to fit in. And there may be a setback now because it will probably not happen during Passover, but we are still much, much closer than we were, let's say, a year ago. So we will have to keep an eye on this and see what's actually going to happen.
Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody heard anything about that? Okay, so with that being said, we're going to go to open up our Q&A. Any questions or comments about anything from last week or beginning of this week over the Shabbat? What happened on Clubhouse? Anybody got any questions? Or anything they want to talk about? Bring up.
Shalom, Brother Leonard. I just would like to share a little bit of need to know information. Every time I sort of research something, I just like to share it and learn a lot about why I did the things that I did, with going to church and all of that, right?
Okay.
And where all of this come from. And we know that tomorrow and this weekend is big for the Christians, right? So, I thought I understood, why they celebrated this holiday, right? But then I was like, okay, well, where did the Easter Bunny come from?
Okay.
How did the Easter Bunny come about? Because you took pictures with the Easter Bunny. Somebody was dressed in the Easter Bunny suit. You went hunting for eggs and all of that other stuff, right? And with understanding this, we picked up a lot of their ways. It's all pagan. It's all of it is pagan. Everything the Christians do is pagan. They're copycats, and they just fall in suit with whatever, right? So you got Good Friday, they'll give you that off, right? And then you got the big Easter Sunday, right? So I just want to read a little bit on the information that I found on the Easter Bunny. If somebody else finds something better or whatever, let me know, because I just like researching and reading stuff like that so that we understand that these pagan holidays has nothing to do with our culture whatsoever. And we have picked up their ways and we are still in it. You have people saying JC, but just painting his face black. JC does not exist. So if you're holding on to that, and you not hold on to these pagan holidays? You can't be half in and half out.
Okay.
To me. So I'm just going to read a little bit about what I hope that, this really enlightens some people. So it says, where does Easter Bunny come from? Here's the story behind that Easter mascot. In Christianity, Easter is celebrated as the resurrection of Christ according to the New Testament. However, the Easter Bunny is not mentioned in the New Testament, but have become associated with the Christian religion holiday, right? The Easter Bunny's journey is a blend of pagan symbolism, Christian behavior, and modern day commercialization. So everybody kind of picked it up. They saw, we can make money off of this by making the chocolate Easter bunnies, by, selling, what do you call the jelly beans, all of that, right? So they did it also to gain profit. Okay. The roots of the Easter Bunny can be traced back to pre-Christian Europe. Many cultures associated springtime with fertility and new life. The hare, which is called the Easter bunny, known for its energetic breeding habits, became a symbol of this season. In particular, the celebration of Yoster, right? Yoster was a goddess of fertility, right? Often featured as a hare as her companion, the Easter bunny. Fast forward to early centuries of Christianity. The celebration of Easter, commemorating JC's resurrection, became firmly established in Germany. The Osterhauser, which is in English language Easter bunny, emerged as a benevolent creature that judged children's behavior and rewarded the good ones with colored eggs, a symbol of rebirth in Christianity. By the 17th century, German immigrants brought these traditions to America, particularly in Pennsylvania Dutch communities. Here, the Osterhauser, which is a German word, transformed into the Easter bunny we know today. Children built nests for the bunny to lay its colored eggs, a tradition. It was a tradition which came into the Easter baskets we see today. The 20th century saw the Easter bunny rise as a popular icon. German printers began depicting the bunny on Easter postcards. In the US, the commercialization of Easter boomed, with sweet companies capitalizing on the association between rabbits and eggs. In the Christian world, the Easter bunny has been adapted and endured, which is a symbol of pagan fertility to a Christian judge of good behavior, and finally to a modern day candy deliverer. So I'm going to read Deuteronomy chapter 12, verses 29 through 32. When the Lord thy God shall cut off the nations from before thee, whether thou goest to possess them, and thou succeedest them, and dwellest in their land. Take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by following them. After that they be destroyed from before thee, and that thou inquire not after their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise. Thou shalt not do so unto the Lord thy God, for every abomination which he hateth have they done unto their gods, for even their sons and their daughters they have burnt in the fire of their gods. What thing soever I command you, observe to do it. Thou shalt not add thereto nor diminish from it. So we just have to, even with you playing that last video, they are copycats. They have nothing of their own. And so, again, they're celebrating another pagan holiday that has nothing to do with the Hebrew Israelites.
Okay, yeah, that's some good information. I think that I heard it. I heard it about a couple of weeks ago when the child sacrifices was, the blood from the child. They dipped the egg in the blood.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you get the dyed eggs, in particular the red ones. And so they got this ceremony at the White House every year with this red egg, but it goes back to child sacrifice, dipping the egg in the
Right.
blood. Right. Right. So yeah. So that was good information. Anybody have any comments? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Shalom. I think that at the White House they do hide so many of the red eggs, and if whoever finds the red egg get this great prize or something like that. So that red really symbolizes something.
The blood
to
from the
them.
child sacrifice. Right. Blood from the child sacrifice. Right. Somebody else asked him?
Shalom. As Sister Michelle was reading, and she was saying that the good children will receive a colored egg, it brought me into the mind when they were speaking on that Saint Nick Christmas with you be good, you get a toy, you be bad, you get coal. and they tying that into the birth of JC, and then now is the resurrection, the rising again of JC when he passed away on Easter and arose again on the third day. So they still trying to tie everything into JC, and with that being good and getting the egg and being good and getting a present with that pagan thing for Christmas. Again, I was just putting those two together, how they continue to commercialize things so they you know, bear it in the minds of them. So each year they're looking forward to doing something, but still putting JC in the commercial and having people to buy things and do things of that sort and not realizing what it's really about.
Okay, yeah. So you got to go back to paganism and heathens. They got all kind of gods, just like in Egypt. Egypt, they had all kind of gods. They had a pantheon, and even the Germans, Greeks, and all them, the Romans, they had a pantheon of gods. So when you look at what they're doing today with Christianity, each one of those religions or each one of those holidays is a different god. So they backdoing it as making you think they tied it to our scriptures and to our culture, but they still worshiping all these different gods. Like I said, it's a different god for Easter than it is for Christmas. And if you go back to Christmas, it's back about the children because it's about the children and everything because they child sacrificing. So you had the Christmas was actually grotesque. And after they came over here and got around us and they brought us here, they had to tone all that down. So it was that they say you better not be naughty, be nice and don't be naughty. So what the deal was Saint Nicholas was like a wicked as hell, and he had nymphs, creatures from the dark world that would come with him on Christmas night and get the wicked kids, get the bad kids, take them out. So, and then same thing with when we was talking about Easter, the bad kids was killed, and the eggs was dipped in their blood, so you get the red egg. So it's like I said, it's all. Then you come to JC, it's all about the children with him, too. But like I said, they didn't paint it over their culture, tone it down. But it really when you go and do research and find out about it, it's all you can see it was illiterate. It was ignorant. The things they believe, like taking the kids out. When you talk about they chose the rabbit because they reproduce so fast. So they would take those kids. They had like a cabin out in the woods because they worshiped the woman. They got it from the Egyptians. So they would take the kids way out in the woods, which is tied to Hansel and Gretel, and they would have the woman be dressed all up, but she'd be naked. She had this, like an elk thing on her head or whatever, but kids go out there and find her, and then she had sex with all the kids. Maybe whether they girls or boys. That was a rite of passage. Like when Cain and Abel came to make their offering at 12 years old. That was a rite of passage going into adulthood. But that was a rite of passage. Was going into, to have the intercourse with this woman that was supposedly a goddess. You know what I'm saying? And drank her breast milk and all that. So that's how that goes. So all this paganism, but it's been glossed over. Now it gets to today's society, they glossed it all over and made it look good and like they said with imagery. Like I said, Saint Nick was wicked as hell in the ancient time. They toned it down now. So like I was saying, now they took it. Now the Negroes with Afrocentrism, they didn't took him and made him black. So what? In actuality, they just took a demon and made him black. And you understand what has happened. So anybody have any comments? Because I was gonna bounce off of that with what Putin just done. I want to put it on the record. So let's look at It's the world upside down. And this is a major sign that, well, where we at? We see what's going on with them red heifers. Nobody really focusing on that, but they at the point where they get ready to build this temple. And I think what happened was they miscued. They thought they had the people so snowed in when they did what they did with Hamas. It wasn't going to go like it did, but the whole world turned against them from that. They looking at it from the genocidal part of it, and they turning against them. Their objective was to come in and in April, me looking at it, and they was going to do that sacrifice and all that in April. They at the point now they want this temple built. And like I said, the guy was talking about it. When you do the research, those cows have to be, it's a certain timeline. They got to be 3 years old. So they only got a certain time to once them cows become 3 years old to do it. So that's where we at. We're trying to find some kind of way to make this happen. It's like they can't turn back. That's why they're trying to get a ceasefire, but they can't see no ceasefire. They got a hidden agenda that they trying to get to, and they waited all this time, all these years for it. So they ain't turning back. So anyway, so let's look at this right here, because like I said, this has shook up the whole, especially Christians.
His mother,
Christians in America,
Mary, and his people, black
racism,
or white. This has been a long debated question. Europe has always tried to depict Jesus as a fair white man, blue eyes, long blonde hair, and tall height. This was further strengthened by paintings from the 15th century, where Jesus appeared much like a typical European man. But does this prove Jesus was white? Well, not necessarily. The recent 14th and 15th century paintings revealed by Russia prove that Jesus was not white, but black. He, his mother, and the people around him were all black.
So?
That's a groundbreaking revelation, questioning why Europe depicted Jesus as white until now. So, what have we found in the centuries-old Russian cellars and vaults? What people have been shown in the paintings found in these vaults that completely change biblical teachings? Let's know about that in this video. Recently, news surfaced that Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered the relocation of one of Russia's most sacred icons from a museum to a Moscow cathedral. For centuries, these paintings remained locked in vaults, but now the world has the chance to observe them. This fundamentally changes our understanding of Jesus, his mother, and his disciples. These paintings are called the Russian icons, which are collections of hundreds of paintings depicting Jesus' era and his life. In Russian Icons, Father Vladimir Ivanov explores Russian iconography in depth, offering insights into the history, symbolism, and spiritual significance of these sacred artworks. Authored by a distinguished expert in the field, Father Ivanov presents readers with a comprehensive overview of Russian iconography, covering various. However, even if the artworks show various instances, they have one similarity. They show Jesus, his mother, people, and even angels as black. Father Ivanov discusses the artistic techniques used in Russian icon painting, including the application of egg tempera paint, gold leaf, and traditional iconographic methods such as hieratic composition and stylized forms. Examining the role of icons in Orthodox devotional practices, including veneration, processions, and their use in private and public worship, the book illuminates the profound impact of icons on believers' spiritual lives. Some of the paintings even depict the pre-Jesus era. For example, Andrei Rublev's Trinity illustrates the biblical story of three angels visiting the patriarch Abraham at the Oak of Mamre, as described in the book of Genesis. Within Christian belief, this event represents the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, revealing themselves to Abraham as three guests. However, there is something shocking in this painting. The complexion of all those present in the painting is dark and black. A famous painting, Savior in a Golden Riza, typically features an icon portraying Jesus Christ adorned with a golden riza. In Orthodox Christian tradition, a riza is a metal covering or frame that embellishes an icon, often made from gold or silver. The primary focus of the painting is Jesus Christ, depicted in the traditional Orthodox iconography. He is commonly depicted with a halo around his head, symbolizing his divine nature. His facial expression may vary, often conveying compassion, serenity, or solemnity, reflecting his role as the Savior and spiritual guide. Interestingly, Jesus is depicted in a dark brown or black complexion.
You can handle the truth on these 5 myths.
The golden riza surrounding the icon of Jesus is intricately designed, featuring elaborate patterns, engravings, and sometimes gemstones. It signifies the reverence and value attributed to Christ's image in Orthodox worship. Moreover, the riza serves as a visual reminder of the magnificence and majesty of God, reinforcing the belief in Jesus as the divine Son of God. Then comes the painting Theotokos of Vladimir, which is deeply revered within the Orthodox Christian tradition. It depicts the Virgin Mary, also known as the Theotokos, cradling the infant Jesus in her arms. The term Theotokos translates to God-bearer or Mother of God, highlighting Mary's role as the mother of Jesus, who is believed to possess both human and divine nature. Interestingly, both Jesus and his mother appear non-white, with their complexion leaning toward black color. Mary has a calm expression in the painting, tenderly holding Jesus, supporting his body with one hand while gently caressing his cheek with the other. Jesus is portrayed as a young child, often extending his right hand in a gesture of blessing. Among the Russian icons found in the vaults is Ustyug Annunciation, a painting that completely redefines angels' appearances. This painting portrays the Annunciation, a significant event in the Christian tradition where the Archangel Gabriel informs the Virgin Mary that she will conceive and give birth to Jesus, the Son of God. Both Gabriel and the Virgin Mary are depicted as black. In no way do they have a fair complexion, blue eyes, and blonde hair. Another famous painting is Elusa, which means tenderness or compassion in Greek. In religious art, it represents a specific depiction of the Virgin Mary cradling the infant Jesus in a close embrace, with their cheeks touching. This portrayal highlights the intimate bond between mother and child, symbolizing Mary's role as a compassionate intercessor and protector of humanity. In this painting, we see the same pattern, and both Jesus and his mother appear darker. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Africa's geopolitics, economy, and changing landscape. Let's continue now. In the collection is a painting titled Our Lady of St. Theodore, which shows the Virgin Mary holding the infant Jesus, often portrayed as a young child, with her right hand raised in a gesture of blessing. The Virgin Mary is linked with the protection of Constantinople and is revered as a guardian and patroness of the Byzantine Empire. Again, we see both Jesus and his mother as black, not white. This might cause people to think that perhaps only Jesus and his mother were black. Well, the fact is, according to these paintings, the people among whom Jesus and his mother lived were also black. The famous painting titled Jesus with John the Baptist and the Virgin in the collection shows the mediation of John the Baptist and the Virgin Mary. In this painting, John the Baptist and the Virgin Mary are depicted in a position of authority and judgment alongside Christ, known as Christ the Judge or Christ Pantocrator. John the Baptist and the Virgin Mary are shown with raised hands in prayer, appealing to Christ on behalf of humanity. Another painting from the collection titled Christ Pantocrator presents Christ as the Pantocrator, signifying almighty and all-powerful. Jesus' complexion is dark and black, while he is depicted as the ruler and judge of the universe, with his right hand raised in blessing and his left hand holding a gospel book, symbolizing his role as the Word of God. This portrayal emphasizes Christ's sovereignty, authority, and divine majesty. After seeing these paintings, the earlier doubts about Jesus' heritage and complexion become concerns. Jesus' black heritage holds historical significance, situating him in a specific time and place, much like his followers. For centuries, the prevailing depiction of Jesus Christ, particularly in Western cultures, has been as a fair-skinned man with long, wavy, light brown or blonde hair, often portrayed with blue eyes. However, the Bible does not physically describe Jesus, and evidence suggests he likely looked quite different from this traditional portrayal. Biblical narratives indicate Jesus was a Jewish man born in Bethlehem and raised in Nazareth, Galilee, during the 1st century. While the Bible mentions Jesus beginning his ministry around the age of 30, it offers little detail about his physical attributes, except to suggest that he did not possess remarkable beauty or stand out physically, as Isaiah 53:2 implies. Another mention is in Revelation 1:14-15, where John has a vision of Jesus. It describes his hair as white like wool, his eyes as fiery, his feet as glowing bronze, and his voice as powerful like rushing waters. Even though the depiction is not explicit, it clearly leans toward black features and physical traits. But why does Russia stand apart in depicting Jesus and his people as black in religion?
Are you aware that starting salary for a cyber
Well, the answer lies in the fact that Russia got disconnected from the Byzantine Church when the whitewashing of religious paintings started. This was due to the Mongol invasion and occupation of Russia, known as the Golden Horde, which profoundly influenced the region's ties with the Byzantine Empire and the broader Christian world. Beginning in the early 13th century, the Mongols launched a series of military campaigns that resulted in the establishment of the Mongol Empire, one of history's largest continuous land empires. This expansion brought them into contact with various civilizations, including Russia. Until then, Russia had been in contact with the Byzantine Empire, significantly adopting its religious beliefs. But in 1237, the Mongols launched a devastating invasion of the Russian principalities, which were fragmented and unable to mount a unified defense. The invasion culminated in the Battle of the Sit River in 1238, where the Mongols emerged victorious. Subsequently, they gained control over the region, establishing the Golden Horde as a vassal state and imposing tribute on Russian princes. The Mongol occupation significantly reshaped Russia's connections with the Byzantine Empire and the wider Christian world. Before the invasion, Russia had close ties with Byzantium, particularly in religious matters, as the Eastern Slavic peoples had Byzantine Christianity. The Russian Orthodox Church regarded Constantinople, the Byzantine capital, as its spiritual center. However, the Mongol invasion disrupted these ties. With much of Russia under Mongol control, communication and trade routes suffered, severing contact with Byzantium. Additionally, the invasion strained the Russian Orthodox Church as the Mongols imposed their administrative structures, occasionally clashing with the church's authority. It's believed that before the invasion, both Russia and the Byzantine Empire had similar artworks. However, after the invasion, the whitewashing of religious artworks began in Europe, unlike in Russia, which remained under Mongol rule for another 250 years. Consequently, Russia stands alone in preserving religious artworks, where Jesus and his people are depicted as black, while the rest of Europe whitewashed such artworks. The religious artworks in Russia offer compelling evidence that, until now, Jesus, his mother, and his people were portrayed inaccurately. Concealing Jesus' complexion altered the narrative, presenting him solely as the savior of white people, which did not align with the full story. However, acknowledging Jesus as black provides coherence, considering the parallels between the suffering endured by black people and that of Jesus. What do you think Was Jesus black or white, given that he was from Israel, a region where black people live? What's more opinion on why Europe tried showing Jesus, his mother, and his people as white? In the comment section right below, share your thoughts on whether...
Okay, any comments on that? I don't know if anybody been tracking that, but it just shook up the whole world, especially over here in America, these evangelicals. They don't know whether to go left or right. Any comments on that? Anybody heard anything about it?
No, yes, sir.
Okay.
Shalom. I heard about how they said they opened the vault up and Putin showed where the, you know, the strolls of that they were really black people. And my question is why they have crosses on them. You know, the crosses everywhere. These and the cross signifies death, but yet though they have it on all the pictures that they showed on YouTube, how they saying Putin had the secret, and then they show them with the afros and really dark.
Right. It's when you understand how Christianity came about, the cross came from the that was in Egypt. So like he was just saying, when they concocted all that, they knew who the Israelites were. They was black. That's why they depicted them black. They knew who they were. So when they concocted JC back then at the Council of Nicaea, they had to betray him black. So then, like you said, Genghis Khan and those mongrels came and they cut the which this ain't nothing but the hand of the Lord, but he cut the Russian Empire off, Russia away from the rest of Europe. So the rest of Europe transformed and changed all the paintings that they had, which they knew who the Israelites were, and then they knew who Jesus was and all that, and so they turned it and changed it to white. And now that we're in the end times, Russia coming out with the original paintings that they knew. What he's showing you that everybody knew. They're trying to act as if they don't know, but the powers that be know who we are. They knew all along who we were. And that's what him coming out with this information is showing you. We know it's pagan, but when they concocted it off of the original people. They knew that they was black. And they depicted them the way they actually were. Yeah.
Shalom. So Russia is Magog or Gog, which I know it's China and Russia. It's Magog and Gog. Which one is Magog and which one is Gog?
I think China is Magog and Russia is Gog.
Okay. And they had end up with, um, say, um, information papers, scrolls, and everything like that of the Bible or parts of it
Right.
representing that. And they're a nation or a place that the Most High does not like, but yet use them for our punishment.
Exactly. He tells us that in the scripture that he's going to cast us out from our land into their land. And there we're going to worship their gods and their idols. That's exactly what we're doing. Everything that we lost our heritage. Our heritage was, he caused our heritage to be taken away from us, and we grabbed the home too. Their heritage, they way of life, they thinking. Like you said, it's two different types of wisdom. It's the wisdom that coming from these angels that come from heaven, and then it's these folks' wisdom, which came from the dark side. And that's what we're dealing with, their wisdom. And they understanding, which they don't have no understanding when it comes to the Creator and his laws and statutes and his way of life. They have no understanding on that.
Yeah. So those are the heathens that will not repent and they're
Right.
rebuked. Okay. Yes, sir.
Right. Exactly. like right here. I mean, you've been caught red-handed. This is overwhelming. But watch, they're gonna try to find it. They're gonna try to dig their way out of it. It's like with reparations. They know that they need to pay reparations because now they see that what they done is starting to come back on them. So they know they need to pay reparations, but they're gonna try to find some kind of way to get out of it instead of going with this when the spirit shows them that they are you wrong and you need to fix it. Same thing the Pharaoh did. They just ain't in them to do right. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments on that? Okay. Yeah. So we'll read a couple of chapters out of Isaiah. If I'm not mistaken, we stopped at Isaiah 9. Okay. Somebody can read that, chapter 9, and we'll read a couple of chapters, or maybe 2 or 3. Okay.
Shalom,
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll read it.
Okay.
Isaiah chapter 9. Nevertheless, the dimness shall not be, such as was in her vexation, when at the first he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterward did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea, beyond Jordan and Galilee of the nations. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light, that they dwell in the land of the shadow of death. Upon them hath the light shined. Thou hast multiplied the nations and not increased the joy. They joy before thee according to the joy in harvest, and as men rejoice when they divide the spoil. For thou hast broken the yoke of his burden, and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and to the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. 7. Of the increase of his government and peace there should be no end, upon the throne of David, and upon his kingdom to order it, and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform it. The Lord sent a word into Jacob, and it had lightened up upon Israel. And all the people shall know, even Ephraim and the inhabitant of Samaria, that say in the pride and stoutness of heart, the bricks are fallen down, but we will build with hewn stones. The sycamores are cut down, but we will change them into cedars. Therefore the Lord shall set up the adversaries of risen against him, and join his enemies together. The Syrians before, the Philistines behind, and they shall devour Israel with open mouth. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. For the people turn it not unto him that smitted them, neither do they seek the Lord of hosts. Therefore the Lord will cut off from Israel head and tail, branch and rush in one day. The ancient and honorable, he is the head, and the prophet that teacheth lies, he is the tail. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed. Therefore the Lord shall have no joy in their young men, neither shall have mercy on the fatherless and widows. For every one is an hypocrite and an evildoer, and every mouth speaketh folly. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. 18. For wickedness burneth as the fire, it shall devour the briars and thorns, and shall kindle in the thickets of the forest, and they shall mount up like the lifting of smoke. Through the wrath of the Lord of hosts is the land darkened, and the people shall be as the fuel of the fire. No man shall spare his brother, and he shall snatch on the right hand and be hungry, and he shall eat on the left hand, and they shall not be satisfied. They shall eat every man the flesh of his own arm. Manasseh, Ephraim, and Ephraim, Manasseh, and they together shall be against Judah. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched still. That was Isaiah chapter 9.
Okay. Got any comments?
No, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So notice, I don't know if it's in you guys' book, but in mine, I got a King James Study Bible. It says the title of chapter 9 is the Prince of Peace. Anybody got that?
Shalom, mine
Shalom.
says a great light.
Say what?
A great light.
Okay.
Shalom. Mine says birth and region of the Prince of Peace.
Okay. So when you understand the New Testament, this is where they go. It's another one of those verses they plucked out of the Bible after they concocted JC at the Council of Nicaea. They came here and said that this him. So it's right here in verse 6. For unto us a child is born. I'm quite sure you've heard it before. If you was in Christianity, say for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. The government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace will there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it, to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts shall perform this. So they say that this Jesus, Prince, Son, he's the Son of God. This is a prophecy, a futuristic prophecy about him coming. Anybody familiar with that concept? You ever heard of that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So this is one of the very places they go. But let me show you the truth of it. So I told you that the Most High got a covenant with verse 6 and 7 is all about David. So you notice in verse 7 it says, upon the throne of David. So he got a covenant with David that he always gonna have a son out of his lineage on the throne. But he even goes further than that. But it's gonna be wicked. We talked about this before. It's gonna be wicked sons gonna come on the throne, but he always gonna bring a righteous one with the same spirit that David had, and he gonna reform Israel and turn them back. And like I said, examples of that is Jehoshaphat, Josiah. You had the righteous king that come, turning them back to Israel. They had the same spirit David had. That's the covenant that he got with David. That's why he's talking about the tender mercy in Psalm 132. That's the covenant. So understanding that we in Isaiah chapter 1. Go to Isaiah chapter 1. You'll see that it says Isaiah, the time when he lived. Right? It says the vision of Isaiah. This is what the book of Isaiah is about. The vision of Isaiah, the son of Amos, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzi, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. So you notice the first three was wicked as hell. Then Hezekiah came. So let's look at that. You got three wicked kings, then Hezekiah came. So if you go to chapter 7, like I said before, we talked about it. They use chapter 7 to say JC2. Isaiah 7 and 14. Therefore, the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. We know that that's Hezekiah's son. Isaiah's son. Isaiah got 3 sons. So this not no about no Jesus. But my point is this: in chapter 7, you can see that we're dealing with Ahaz, Uzi, which was wicked and died. Jotham, which is Ahaz's father, he done died, and Ahaz on the throne. So he's telling Isaiah is telling Ahaz, they come in to try to take you off the throne. That's what verse 7 and 14 says. But he's gonna use me as a sign. I'm gonna have a son, and that's that boy before he can get old enough to know what's right and what's wrong. He's gonna be got rid of this these people that's coming to try to take you off the throne, which is verse 13. And he said, "Hear ye now, O house of David." See that? So go back to the covenant. The Lord of hosts got a covenant with David, which is the house of David. And at this time right here, Ahaz on the throne. So let's look at it. So we go to, we see that in chapter 8, Isaiah is doing what he told him in verse 13 and 14. He says, "Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign, which is a son. And behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear." So a virgin is a woman, is a young woman of marital age, or one young woman is capable to have children. That's all that means. It don't mean, like we said before, they gave you a trick meaning of virgin, and then what the virgin actually meant at that time. So it was a woman of marital age. So in chapter 8, in order to fulfill that prophecy, you go to chapter 8. It says, Isaiah, "Moreover, the Lord said unto me, Isaiah, take thee a great roll, write upon it with a man's pen." Here go the boy right here. This is his name, Maha Mashkabah. "And I took unto me a faithful witness to record, Uriah the priest, and Zechariah the son of Jechabinah." So these are people, that's the witnesses. "And he went unto the prophetess," that's his wife. That's the woman in that Isaiah 7 and 14. "And she conceived, bore a son." This is the son right here. Like I showed you in verse 1, they say his name again. "Then said the Lord unto me, call his name Maha." That's the boy right there. Then it says, this is what nobody deal with, Christian, and the Christian Hebrew. It says, verse 4, "Before the child shall have the knowledge to cry, my father or my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoils of Samaria shall be taken away before the king." So this boy right here in 7 and 14, before he get old enough to know good, right from wrong. So this takes about a year and a half, maybe at the most. If that. So it ain't no 400 years, 500 years later, this kid gonna be born in the manger. He said, "Before the child have knowledge to cry, my father and my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoils of Samaria shall be taken away from me." So this boy, all the people that's in this story are here dead today. They died right there around that same time. But this is my point. So it says, we're dealing with Ahaz, and it says, let me go to verse 18. It says, "Behold, I and the children whom the Lord have given me are for signs and wonders in Israel from the Lord of hosts, which dwelleth in Mount Zion." That's Isaiah letting you know. All these boys over here from chapter 1 to 8 is his. There ain't nobody in the future in no manger. 19, "And when they shall say unto you, seek unto them that have familiar spirits, and unto the wizards that peep and that mutter, should not a people seek unto their God, for the living, to the dead, to the law, to the testimony? And if thou speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. And they shall pass through it hardly bested and hungry. And it shall come to pass that when they shall be hungry, they shall fret themselves and curse their king and their God, and look upward. And they shall look unto the earth, and behold trouble." Here you go. This is what nobody deal with. 22, They shall look unto the earth, and behold, trouble, darkness, dimness, anguish, and they shall be driven in the darkness. So these three kings, they wicked as hell. They drove Israel into darkness. So who the next king to be born? The next king, Isaiah died right here. The next king is Hezekiah. That's what brings you to chapter 9. See what we just ended? We just ended 22, 8 and 22. And they shall look upon the earth, and behold, trouble, darkness, dimness, anguish, and they shall be driven into darkness. That's because of these three wicked kings. Now, chapter 9, verse 1. Nevertheless, the dimness, what dimness? From 22, 8 and 22. The dimness shall not be such as was in her vexation when at the first he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, these sons of Jacob. He is the Lord of hosts. So he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterwards did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea beyond the Jordan in the Galilee of the nations. So what's the Galilee of the nations? There's another thing with people. Let's go to Judges right quick, because this has to be explained. You say the Galilee of the nations. You go to Judges, right? Chapter 2, I think it is. No, chapter 3. Let me get it. Chapter 3. Still on the right place. Chapter 3. Okay. Been a minute since I dealt with this. So, okay. Yeah, let me finish this and I'll come back to this. No, here it is right here. Chapter 4 says, and the children of chapter 4 Judges, verse 1. And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord when Eliab was dead. So this is one of the judges. Ehab is one of the judges. He was dead. And the Lord sold him into the hands of Jabin, king of Canaan, that remained in Hazarah. See that? H-A, you might want to write this down. Reign of Hazarah, the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt at Hazareth of the Gentiles. See that? Hazareth of the Gentiles. So it was way back then, it was Gentiles living among the Israelites, but they was in a particular place in Galilee. They was in Galilee. So when you go and do your research on Hazareth of the Gentiles, same thing over here, what he just said. He says in verse 1, 9 and 1, Isaiah 9 and 1. Nevertheless, the dimness shall not be such as was in her vexation, when the first he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and he afterward did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea beyond Jordan. Right? We know it was 2.5 tribes beyond Jordan in Galilee of the nations. That's Gentiles. That's the same place I just showed you. Right? Anyway, verse 2. The people that walked in darkness. See that? The three kings from Isaiah chapter 1, verse 1. Uzi, Jotham, and Ahaz. He said the people that walked in darkness, and now, as God getting ready to be born, have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them have the light shine. Hezekiah being born, right? So here you go. Thou hast multiplied the nations and not increased the joy. They joy before thee according to the joy of a harvest, and as a man rejoices when they divide the spoils. For thou hast broken the yoke of his burden, and the staff of his shoulder, and the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian. For every little battle of the warrior is with confused noise, and the garments rolled in blood. But this shall be the burning and the fuel of the fire. So this is him right here. This the Lord of hosts telling Isaiah this. Verse 5. Every battle of the warrior is with confused noise. The garment shall be rolled in blood, but this shall be the burning and the fuel of the fire. Right here. This back to the covenant he got with David. For under us, the nation of Israel, a child is born. Under us, a son is given. Why? A righteous son, like David. He's already told David that. I'm always raised up a righteous son. There's going to be some wicked ones, but under you, a righteous son, I'm going to bring up a righteous son. So he says, for unto us a child is born. Unto us a son is given. The government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince, which is a son of peace. Then here you go. This is what breaks it down. Of the increase of his government, this son, which is at this time right here, Hezekiah. The increase of his government and peace, there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, David's kingdom, to order it, to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even and forever. Then here go the answer. The zeal of the Lord of hosts shall perform it. The Lord of hosts, the one got the covenant with David. David did, but he's going to make sure that he performed that. He's going to always bring a son on the throne, back on the throne like David. So let's go to 2 Kings and look at this right quick. We'll see it. We'll see it wholesale. So, I mean, let me see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm going the wrong way. Let me find it. I'll show it to you. So, okay. Okay. Yeah. I think it's in 2 Kings. I thought it was in 1 Kings, but it's in 2 Kings. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So go to 2 Kings 15, right? Yeah, go to 2 Kings 15. Okay. You got 2 Kings 15.
Yes, sir. 2 Kings chapter 15.
Yeah, verse 32.
32.
You got it?
And yes, sir, in the second year of
Yeah, the
Pekal,
second year.
the son of
Right.
Ramaliah. Yeah.
Second year of Pecan, the son of Ramaliah, king of Israel, began Joktan, the son of Uzi. See, there they go, Uzi, So the four kings that Ahaz lived, time of Ahaz lived was Uzi, Jotham, and Ahaz. Then Hezekiah came. But notice in this verse right here, in the second year of Pecan, well, who is that? That's one of the kings that, and we was looking at it in Isaiah chapter 7. They came up to Israel to take Ahaz off the throne, to put a breach in Israel. Go back and look at it, Isaiah chapter 7. But anyway, 7 in verse 1. Then it goes to verse 33. 5 and 20 years old was he when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Jerusha, the daughter of Zodak, and he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. He did, and he did according to all that his father Uzi had done. Albeit the high places were not removed. See that? And the people sacrificed and burned incense still in the high places. He built a higher gate of the house of the Lord. Now the rest of the acts of Jotham and all that he did, are they not written in the books of the Chronicles of Kings? So he dealing with the high places. Then you go to verse 16, chapter 16, Ahaz. In the 17th year of Pecan, the same king, son of Remaliah, Ahaz, the son of Jotham, king of Judah, began to reign. Right? Then you go to same chapter, verse 17. And it says, and King Ahaz cut off the borders of the bases and removed the labor from off them, took them down the sea from off the brazen oxen that were under it, and put it upon a pavement of stone, and the covert for the Sabbath day that he had built in the house of the king, and the king entered without turn from him. Say, turned he from the house of the Lord to the king of Assyria. So he built the altar inside the temple. The Lord of hosts, he built an altar in there for the king of Assyria. Then on verse 19, now the rest of the acts of Ahaz, which he did, he wicked as hell, which he did, are they not written in the books of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? Then 20, and Ahaz slept with his fathers, and he was buried with his fathers in the city of David. And Hezekiah, that's the Prince of Peace. See that? And Hezekiah, his son, reigned in his stead. Hezekiah, if we understand Hezekiah, what he did, he was righteous. Let's go there. Go to Second Chronicles.
Shalom.
Yeah.
Is that when Hezekiah reigned over Judah?
Right.
Okay.
I think it's like I said, it's been a minute since I dealt with this. But Second Chronicles, yeah. Here you go, chapter 31. Second Chronicles 31.
Yes, sir.
So it says, now, when all this was finished, and Israel were present, went out of the city of Judah and break. See that? Remember the other ones? They keeping the idols. They dealing in high places with all these idols and child sacrifices. But when Hezekiah came, now when all this was finished, all Israel that were present went out to the cities of Judah and break the images in pieces, cut down the groves, threw down the high places, just like David. He got the same spirit David in him. That's the promise he got to David. Says he's going to raise a son up like him. And he threw down the high places and the altars out of all of Judah and Benjamin, in Ephraim also, and Manasseh, until they had utterly destroyed them all. Then all the children of Israel returned, right? That's the purpose of the covenant that he got with David. Returned every man to his possession into their own cities. Says, and then verse 2, and Hezekiah appointed the courses of the priests and the Levites after their courses, every man according to his service, the priests and the Levites for burnt offerings and for peace offerings, to minister to and give thanks and to praise in the gates of the tents of the Lord. He appointed also king's portion of his substance for the burnt offerings, to wit, for the morning and the evening burnt offerings, and the burnt offerings for the Sabbaths and for the new moons, and set the feast as it is written in the, see that he went back to the laws of Moses, as it is written in the laws of Moses, right? Moreover, he commanded the people that dwelt in Jerusalem to give the portion of the priests and the Levites, that they might be encouraged in the law of the Lord. So we'll read that again. Moreover, he commanded the people that dwelt in Jerusalem to give the portion of the priests and the Levites, that they might be encouraged. So when you give to the Levite, you're encouraging him. Stay steady and stay with the law. So he says to encourage in the law of the Lord. And as soon as as the commandment came abroad, the children of Israel brought in abundance, the first fruits of the corn, wine and oil and honey, and of all the increase of the field, and the tithes of all things brought they in abundance. And concerning the children of Israel and Judah that dwelled in the cities of Judah, they also brought in the tithes of the oxen, sheep, tithes of holy things, which were consecrated unto the Lord their God, and laid them by heaps. So anyway, you go down to 11. Then Hezekiah commanded to prepare chambers in the house of the Lord, and they prepared them and brought in the offerings and the tithes and the dedicated things. So the other three before him didn't do that. So just the Prince of Peace that we just read in Isaiah 9, 6 and 7. Unto us a son is given, a righteous son, like David is given. And this is what Hezekiah did when he came on the throne. And if you go to, let's look at that, because it's got to be explained. So you go to, keep going. The last righteous king that we had was, let's look at it, Josiah. Look at chapter 34, 2 Kings 34. Got it?
Yes, sir.
I'm in 33 and 21 first. So this is the king before Josiah came. Amon was 2 and 20 years old. I'm in 2 Chronicles 33 and 21. Amon was 2 and 20 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 2 years in Jerusalem. But he did that which was evil. See that? In the sight of the Lord, as did Manasseh, his father. So Manasseh was before him, Amon, both of them wicked. For Amon sacrificed unto all the carved images which Manasseh his father had made, and served them, and humbled not himself before the Lord, as Manasseh his father had humbled himself. But Amon trespassed more and more, and his servants conspired against him and slew him in his own house. But the people of the land slew all them that had conspired against King Amon, and the people of the land made Josiah, see that, his son, king in his stead. Now here you go. This is the covenant again right here. Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 130 years, and he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. Now watch this. And he walked in the ways of David. See that? That's the promise he got to David. David, his father. David ain't on his father, but he's out of David's lineage. Amon is his father, but it says, and he walked in the ways of David, his father, and declined neither to the right hand nor to the left. That's what David did. Then verse 3, for in the 8th year of his reign, while he was yet young, just like David was, he began to seek after the God of David, his father. And in the 12th year, he began to purge Judah and Jerusalem from the high places, from the groves, and from the carved images, and from the molten images. That's what JC is, a carved image. And they break down the altars of Balaam in his presence, and the images that were on the high above them. He cut down the groves, the carved images, and the molten images. He brake in pieces and made dust of them, and strove it upon the graves of them that had sacrificed unto them. And he burnt the bones of the priests upon the altar, and cleansed Judah and Jerusalem. So let's look at that. See if anybody catch this. He says, and they broke down the altars of Balaam in his presence. He's standing there while they're doing it, right? Uh, and 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 the images that were on the high above them in the mountains, in the high places, he cut down, and the groves, and the carved images, and the molten images, he break in pieces, and he made dust of them, and he strove it. The dust that he made from those images, and they beat them in the pole. He strove it upon the graves of them that had sacrificed unto them. Back here, these wicked kings: Amon, Manasseh, Uzi, and Jotham. He made powder of these images, and he took it, the dust from it, spread it on the graves of these wicked kings. Then verse 5, and he burnt, look at this, he burnt the bones of the priests upon their altars, and cleansed Judah and Jerusalem. Anybody get it down out of that?
Shalom. When he was talking about burn in the ashes, is that something that they're supposed to be doing with the red heifer?
Yeah, but that's
Is that something totally different?
yeah, that's in righteousness. So right here,
Okay.
these wicked folks. So what is he gonna do in Ezekiel 37? Anybody familiar with Ezekiel 37?
Is it in verse 1?
The bones. The
Oh,
bones.
rise up the bones.
He's gonna raise up our forefathers out of their grave. That's a promise he got to them. Just like he got a promise with David. To raise up a righteous son. He got a promise with our forefathers that he's gonna raise them up in the last day. The righteous ones that kept the law, he's gonna raise them. So look what Josiah is doing. Verse 4. And they break down the altars of Balaam in his presence, and the images that were in the high above them, but cut down the groves and carved images and the molten images. He break in pieces and made dust of them, and he strove it upon the graves, upon the graves of them
Where in
that
the
had
Bible they break down the idols and spread the dust and ashes?
upon the graves.
I found this on the web.
Upon the graves of them that sacrificed to them. And then he said he burnt the bones of the priest upon the altar. So can they be resurrected in the last days? Is their bones burnt?
No, sir.
What are we doing? He's burning their bones. They're not gonna be resurrected in Ezekiel 37. See that?
Yes.
Right. He's burning their bones. And then we saw in another place where one of the boys came out there and took all the bones out and laid them out in the open. So they ain't gonna be resurrected. The people that's gonna be, let's look at that right quick. You gotta understand this. So you go to Nehemiah, right? Go to Nehemiah. Get it. So Nehemiah. So they're in captivity in Babylon, and these priests. So they know they're looking at the book of Jeremiah. They know it's 70 years. It's the timeline. They're supposed to be in captivity in Babylon. They righteous. They're the righteous feed. They know that he told them through Jeremiah, you're gonna be here just 70 years, then you're going back. So now it's on Nehemiah mind in chapter 2, verse 1. Go back. And it came to pass in the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of Artaxerxes, king of the king, that wine was before him. And I took up the wine, gave it unto the king. Now I had not been before time sad in his presence. Wherefore the king said unto me, why is thy countenance sad, seeing thou art not sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Then was I very sore afraid. So he's sorrow of heart. He's down and out. But why? So now then verse 3 says, and he said unto the king, let the king live forever. Why should my countenance not be sad when the city, Jerusalem, the place of my father's sepulchres, graves, his fathers, righteous fathers, graves is in Jerusalem, right? Lie waste, and the gates thereof are not consumed, so not being maintained. They know they're going to be resurrected. So that's why Nehemiah said, because they've been taken to a far land, they can't even maintain their father's graves. Keep them maintained for the resurrection. Verse 4, then the king said unto me, for what doest thou make a request? And I prayed to the God of heaven, and I said unto the king, if it please the king, check it out, and if it be, and if thy servant have found favor in thy sight, that thou wouldst send me unto Judah, unto the city of my father's sepulchres, graves. See that? That I may build it. And the king said unto me, and the queen sitting by him, for how long shall thy journey be, and when wilt thou return? So it pleased the king and sent me, and he sent, and I set him a time. So that's his whole concern. Was for the righteous kings, those righteous men in Jerusalem, their sepulchres be maintained because of Ezekiel 37. Okay? So I was going to read another chapter, but we are already at pretty much at 9 o'clock. But yeah, so that's what's going on with that. They already, like I said, they knew they was going to get resurrected. It wasn't no prophecy nowhere in the scriptures or hidden to them that some son was coming and down the cross for them. They already knew they was going to, if they kept his law, like David said, I don't go to the left or to the right. And that he died in righteousness, they knew they was going to be resurrected. That's what that whole thing is about. They knew the Lord of hosts was going to resurrect them. So let me read this right here. And then I'll close out. So you go to Ezekiel 37. Right? Go to Ezekiel 37. Like he said, like Nehemiah just said, how can I be happy with my father's graves, sepulchres? This is where they tricked us off. They changing off that word, but it's the same thing. So you go to 37, and then he make it plain. He says, start at verse 11. It says, then said unto me, I started 10. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and breath came into them, in these bones, and they lived, and they stood upon their feet, and an exceedingly great army. Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones is the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say our bones are dried, and our hope is lost, and we're cut off from our parts, right? Therefore, the Lord talking to Ezekiel, therefore prophesy and say unto them, thus says the Lord God, behold, O my people, I will open up your graves. See that? Sepulchres that Nehemiah was talking about. I will open up your graves, cause you to come up out of your graves, and I will bring you into the land of Israel. This is why he want to maintain them. Make sure they bones there, don't nobody come there and bother with them like they did with those wicked kings. So he says, and ye shall know, it's the Lord. You shall know I am Lord when I open up your graves, sepulchres, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves. And I shall put my spirit in you, put the spirit back in you that left, and ye shall live, and shall be placed in your own land. Then shall ye know that I, the Lord, have spoken it and performed it, says the Lord. There it is. But so, like I said before, you can't see none of this as long as you're dealing with JC, because he's supposed to be the resurrection. When the whole time, the Lord of hosts is the one doing the resurrected. He's the resurrected spirit. Okay. Any comments, questions before we go?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Let's say shalom. I'll see everybody tomorrow on Clubhouse. Like I said, 79. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom, everyone.
Shalom. Shalom.